to Decades of Horror, the 1970s.
He had a heart attack.
This is episode 196, recorded August 16th, 2023.
Gruesome Magazine.
Hello once again. I'm your host, Doc Rotten, and this podcast about horror films released between 1970 and 1979. Each episode, my co-host Jeff Mohr and I will tackle another classic, or not so classic, film from this wondrous, groovy, gory, and influential decade. With me this week is my co-host, Jeff Mohr. Jeff, how you doing, sir?
I'm great.
Great, he says. All right.
I'm digging. I would, I love a good horror movie with top 40 songs in it.
Amen. Oh, yeah. Amen. All right. We'll get to that in a little bit. Let's introduce our quoting. I don't even know where I was going with that, but let's just introduce Chad Hunt. He's a comic artist, the co-host of Decades of Horror. How you doing, sir? All the Decades of Horror, the classic era, the 80s, and this show.
Let's go to our quoting jack off.
I was heading somewhere south, and it wasn't going to work.
I took it there for you.
Yeah,
I'm good. I'm so not happy we did this movie, but I'm doing good.
Not happy. Love the shirt. All right. Also joining us this week is Bill Mulligan. He's writer, director, special effects guru, and all-around nice guy, and published author. Look at that book. It's an awesome book. How you doing, Bill?
A proofreader.
Strange love. Oh, hey, everybody.
Wow. A poop reader?
Yeah.
A poop reader.
A proofreader.
Poop reader.
Wow.
Proofreader. Oh, okay.
Oh, that's better.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
I'm fine. We just started school up again, so yay.
Bah.
Bill is the only one of us that forges our young children into a future.
Molding minds.
God help us all.
Molding minds, good way to put it.
Yes. So you better go buy some Chinese war bonds real soon. Be a wise investment.
Buy bonds. All right. We're going to return to a hammer film of the 70s. Right. Lust for a Vampire. So we're going to get into that. It's going to be very exciting. Before we do that, though, Jeff, do you have some news about Play Now Media?
I do. As usual, we are still partnering with Play Now Media. All of the Decades of Horror, classic era, 70s and 80s are all on their streaming apps. In particular, all three of them are on the Wicked Horror TV channel. So check that out. Some good stuff. I'm telling you, it's good stuff. When I can't figure out what to watch, I just go on there and grab something I haven't seen, because there's lots of stuff I haven't seen on these channels. Mm-hmm. And you got classic sci-fi, regular sci-fi, classic horror, free sci-fi, Sasquatch, all-star wrestling, Grindhouse, and on and on and on.
Oh, that sounds...
I'm sure there's at least 30 channels. I'm not sure.
Oh my God, they do. And it's a lot of cool stuff. So check us out there. All right, what we're going to do is we're going to dive into this movie. Once I show you the card, we're going to get that in a minute. We're going to
show you your cards.
We're going to give you our first impressions. That'll be the review part of it. And then we're going to dive into a very in-depth discussion about it. The actors, the special effects, the history around it, Hammer films in 70s, and all kinds of things. Bill Mulligan here is the expert in all this. So we're going to have a good time with that. and also, if you enjoy this review, please hit the like, share with the friend buttons, or subscribe. Even better, every click helps, and we appreciate it greatly. Let's do this, shall we?
Yeah.
Boink. Lust for a Vampire, 1971, directed by Jimmy Sangster, written by Tudor Gates. From a story from Sheridan Le Fanu. I don't know why I said that way.
It sounds like a Dukes of Hazzard.
It does.
Take the car down to
Tudor. Take it to Tudor's.
Tooter.
Oh, you guys.
All right. Cast includes Stan Skarsgård. How do you pronounce her first name? Is it Utah. I like that better. Sounds like a movie I watched in the late 90s. Michael Johnson, Susanna Lee, Ralph Bates, Barbara Jefford, Helen Christie, and Mike Raven. Production company is Hammer Films. Filming location, England, Hunting Park, Girls Finishing School, and L Street Studios. The releasing date is January 17th, 1971 in the UK. It made it to the States in September on the 2nd of the same year. It's also known as Love for a Vampire. Okay. To Love a Vampire. That's the TV title. Okay.
Yeah, don't skip over that. It literally said in IMDb the Bowdlerized.
What? I didn't even know what that meant. So
I
what
had
is
to look it up.
Bowdlerized?
It meant remove offensive content.
Lust.
So apparently lust was
Lust is
vampires.
bad.
That's fine.
Sure.
Lust, no lust.
No. Belgian title is what, Jeff?
I don't know how to pronounce French, but
Is that French?
Jeune virgins pour un vampire. I don't know.
Yeah.
Young
Virgins for a Vampire. Yes. What's the German title?
The German title. Now you gotta love the German title. Nur Vampire küssen blutig. Only vampires kiss bloody.
I like that title. And then a Tod para un Vampiro, Coffin for a Vampire. That works too. Synopsis. Let's do this.
Lots of different titles.
Yes, all of them good. They all
Nobody
make great
liked
movies.
Lust.
In 1830, 40 years to the day since the last manifestation of their dreaded vampirism, the Karnstein heirs used the blood of an innocent to bring forth the evil that is the beautiful Mircalla, or as she was in 1710, Carmilla.
Those Karnsteins, man. Bunch of jerks.
Hey, can I just point out how goofy that vampire looks on that card? I mean, you know, when you shove in those fangs and everything, you really got to look in front of a mirror. That would just make me laugh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, somebody
he's not laughing very soon after that.
Yeah.
He gets stabbed with a stake or a big, I don't know.
He's pretty ineffectual.
The overbite on that guy.
He gurgles the.
You got to do something that might have been one of the better scenes, even with that, right? So, right.
That may be true.
Let's get into our first impressions. Who chose this? Bill Mulligan, sir. What is your first impression? And when did you see this? Was it back in the 70s? And if so, did it hold up today?
Well, amazingly, this was the first of the Karnstein trilogy that I saw, and I saw it on TV on Saturday morning in broad daylight. So it was cut to ribbons. And the thing that really left an impression on me was Strange Love, the song, because they cut it after about 12 seconds or so. It's gone. And I'm like, oh, thank God. That was terrible.
Wish I'd have watched that version.
That didn't left an impression. And then when I finally got to see the movie, in its entirety, it goes on forever and ever. And then it comes back and that's the thing that really got me. But I had first heard of this from the still that they released of Mircalla coming back to life. And her clothes are just in tatters and she's covered in blood. And it's just a perfect picture if you're an adolescent boy. It really gets the whole dichotomy of sex and horror mixed together. It's a gorgeous picture. And watching it, I realized then, as I do now, this is definitely bottom of the barrel Hammer. Ooh. I love Hammer. I love all Hammer. I even have a certain amount of affection for this movie, but I will not be defending it here. I will sit back and accept the brickbats that are about to come from Chad, because this movie had a lot of potential. And when we look at the history of it, you realize it could have been good because of the people who were involved with it, but for one reason or another did not end up involved with it. And this is what happens. I really feel like if we had Terence Fisher directing this subpar script, the script is only as good as it is, but I don't know. I really think Fisher could have made something of it. And if we had gotten Ingrid Pitt back, if Peter Cushing had been able to stay in there, if this or that or whatever had happened, it would have been a different thing. But we got what we got. which is definitely the least of the three. I'd have to watch Vampire Lovers again to decide whether it or Twins of Evil is my favorite. But those two are clustered pretty tightly together. And Lust for a Vampire is in the rear. They've lapped it already. It's you know,
in the rear.
Yeah.
In the rear.
So
I think you meant rear view mirror.
I missed that. I missed that part. Yeah.
Sure, rear view mirror. Let's go with that. Yeah.
But I love it. I love it in the rear.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow.
Did I say that out loud? I said that out loud. Chad Hunter.
Jeff, could you cut that quote out and save it someplace for when
No.
Sure.
There's no judgments here, Doc.
I'm going to hit delete right now.
You know, I used to save up a blooper file, but I quit doing it.
There's no bloopers in baseball. Chad Hunt, what did you think of this? When did you first see it? Does it hold up today?
I've seen it before, and this is of the Karnstein saga. This is my least favorite of those films, and my least favorite Hammer film. It's just, it's like watching Days of Our Lives or something like that. It just wasn't. It wasn't scary. It wasn't. I don't know. Just something didn't click with me. It's never clicked with me. It's just like Bill said, this is bottom of the barrel Hammer, and I love Hammer too. I love Hammer films. For this podcast, I'd never watched a lot of Hammer films before joining this podcast, and musical numbers, are my kryptonite. And the first second that I heard "Strange Love," I was like, okay, let's get this beep 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 fast forward, button going, and then when I thought it was over, and I stopped the fast forward, it's still going. Yeah, and but for a young boy that saw it when he was a kid, and there were plenty of boobs and that kind of thing. So I just, this is not one that I really liked a whole lot.
What did you really like?
How's that for hijinks?
Oh, that's some hijinks. Jeff Mohr, sir, when did you first see Lust for a Vampire? What did you think of it, and does it hold up today?
The first time I saw this was just before we did Twins of Evil, which I don't know how long ago that was, like maybe 3 years ago. And I decided to watch the trilogy, so I watched all three of them. It's this has kind of a cult following, but they have in my opinion, they have kind of a hard time justifying the cult, other than this is the one nobody likes, so now we're going to like it. Lots of nudity in the beginning. Nudity tapers off quite a bit later on, I think. Every time you walk into a room in the opening scenes, there's nude schoolgirls walking around.
Yep.
So anyway, you know what? The Ralph Bates character is really odd, but he does a good job at it. I really liked, this will probably sound bizarre, but I thought Helen Christie as the school owner, Miss Simpson, I thought she did a great job just being totally clueless.
The character was so annoying.
Getting manipulated by everybody. I love the cop, Inspector Heinrich, Harvey Hall. I thought he was great. He just didn't care what anybody had to say past the yes/no answer he wanted, and then he just walked away as they kept trying to expound. So some of those characters were kind of cool. It's just weird how much. I know they thought that's how they were going to do I think you could, how they were going to make money was throw all this nudity into there. I think you could probably chalk a lot of it up to the fact that, number one, was it Harry Fine and Michael Stiles, I think, were the producers. not the normal Hammer producers. The only other Hammer film they did before this was Vampire Women. And the pressure that they put on him, and the fact that all the pre-production was done when Jimmy Sangster walked in, so he couldn't make any choices whatsoever. And then they kept making him do stuff too, like they put this song in, they, you know, it's just everything. They turned this love scene into like a 3-minute love scene, even though it's not really a 3-minute love scene, just so they could play this whole song. Anyway, I don't know. I mean, it's good to see it as a completist for this trilogy, but and I'll tell you what, there is, I think, probably more beautiful women in this movie than any other single one of the Hammer films.
Definitely more nudity.
Well, those women dancing around up there on the in the square with their sheer whatever those were, practicing their gymnastics or whatever it was. I gotta stop talking. But I like Susanna Lee, and I like, you know, so
it's getting steamy in here.
Michael Johnson, was that his name?
Yeah, Richard Lestrange.
He does a good job.
Does he?
He's okay.
So, you know,
he might even be bad.
Dick Lestrange, everyone.
and Barbara Jefford is like extremely
not
imposing and not. Anyway, I'm done. I can't go any
It's
further.
hard.
I don't know. I share a lot of those sentiments, but I do share that. Oh, this movie. Okay, so yeah, this is the middle entry to the Karnstein trilogy from Hammer with what you said, Vampire Lovers and Twins of Evil. We covered Twins of Evil. We're doing it backwards, and Vampire Lovers we got to cover. Missing Ingrid Pitt is huge. Peter Cushing missing as well is huge. Having him come back for Twins of Evil certainly elevated that movie a lot. But of course, you had Twins, which was Twins. But this movie, I mean, it's got some things going for it. Was it Utah Stensgaard? Sorry, but I mean, she's pretty to look at. Not a great actress. Not a great actress. Susanna Lee is a much better actress, but she's relegated to this supporting role. I did not like our lead, Richard Lestrange. I was like, no, this guy, no. None of this would happen to this guy.
Well, he said,
yeah, I know he's supposed to be this famous author, but no.
But he's a dick. But that's
Yeah, we'll get to all that. But oh my god, he annoyed.
That's why they named him Richard.
He annoyed the living hell out of me. Ralph Bates nearly saves this film, in my opinion. He's so quirky in this role. It's a supporting role, so he's not in the entire film. And it's so so
Peter Lorre.
That's a good way to put it. There's one. Okay, so the element with Mike Raven, who is this Christopher Lee Dracula ripoff looking guy, and the Countess, they're integral to the story, but they're shoved into the plot so odd, right?
Yeah.
Or inverse that, whatever. It's just like they're needed, but they're not utilized really well. Yeah. And that is probably the death knell to this movie, is those elements alone in the song. I'll agree with the song. I usually disagree with the song. Here, it's kind of hard to disagree about the song. The song is kind of rough. So, it's a Hammer film, and it's part of the Karnstein trilogy, so that alone makes it noteworthy. But it's bad. I do challenge you, Chad, that I will find a worse Hammer film, and it will be in the 70s, and we will review it in the near future. Bill knows what it is. To
what end?
No, that's not it. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at this moment. But
Well,
Yeah.
you've got my curiosity up now. What?
Well, we'll find out.
You promised me you're going to show a movie, and you don't tell me what it is. I'm kind of left hanging here.
It's pretty horrible.
But Jeff, you're going to have to defend yourself with thinking Michael Johnson was good in this movie.
I think he played the character he was supposed to be, but the character is a dick and unbelievable.
Yeah, but he has no charisma, and he has all these girls like see him once and go, "Oh, I love you." Really?
Why?
Really?
Yeah. Well, I mean, what's the competition?
Yeah.
So, there's that.
Apparently, the other girls, because they were all the girls were.
Well,
I thought
that
you said Ralph Bates was kind of like Peter Lorre. I felt like I know this isn't a Dracula movie, but I felt like he was like the movie's Renfield.
Yeah. He was definitely wanting to be,
as Peter Lorre.
part of the family. Didn't work out for him.
Yeah.
But let's get into things. But before we do that, I believe, Jeff, you have something to share with us.
Oh, yes.
We do. We always do. It is now time for
Sprockets.
Taglines with Chad.
When the taglines are this bad, we should just skip this whole segment.
Are they really that bad?
Okay, well, you be the judge. Here we go.
Okay, I will.
Taglines for this movie are 1. Gory, ghastly, ghoulish.
The 3 Gs.
Okay. Female bodies whose embrace is the kiss of death for a man or woman.
Ooh,
enticing.
Okay. Intriguing.
You guys are easily amused.
Yeah, we are. We totally are.
Absolutely.
Devils in female bodies.
Been there.
Aren't they all?
Yeah.
I said it.
Yep. Send your letters of complaint to gruesomemagazine.com, care of Chad.
Oh, man.
And I still won't get them.
Yeah.
The last one. A vampire's lust knows no boundaries.
Ooh.
Nothing worse than lust with boundaries.
Yeah, if you're gonna lust, just go whole hog.
It sort of negates having lust if there's boundaries.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh my god.
Yeah. Lust with boundaries. Boy, that's
Oh, you can lust, but there's boundaries to it.
Yeah,
First rule is no lusting.
And that's been taglines with Chad.
Yeah.
Oh, just one?
If you're going to have an affair with a vampire, make sure you got a safe word.
Yeah. Before we get into anything, we have a safe word. Yeah.
That works, huh?
Ralph
safe word is strange love.
Ralph Bates we needed that in this movie.
Oh, definitely.
Before we get into everything, we do need to say that Christopher Lee does make a brief cameo. When they do a close-up of Mike Raven's eyes, instead we see whose eyes are those, Chad Hunt?
Those are Christopher Lee's eyes.
Do you suppose they sent him a dime or anything, for appearing in this movie?
I bet he never knew.
I bet he didn't either.
And I'm sure he never saw this movie.
If they're too cheap to have him just show up for one day to step up from behind a wall and go, "It was a heart attack," and then go back behind the wall, then,
that would have been awesome.
Yeah, they didn't tell him. It's like Laugh-In. Every time somebody said, "How did he die?" It was like a door would open and go, "He died of a heart attack."
He says it. I mean, he literally does exactly what Chad just described. It is amazing in the worst possible way.
She's awful young for a heart attack. It was a heart attack.
Yeah.
Who is this doctor anyway?
Oh man. Oh god. It's and where did he wasn't on the okay, we know the problems here. We're gonna keep going. We should talk about real quick before we get into everything. I also want to say that Terrence Fincher was supposed to be directing this movie and was replaced by Jimmy Sangster at the very short notice, but it was because Terrence Fisher was badly injured in a car accident.
The second time this happened, and look, Terrence Fisher might be my second favorite director after Mario Bava. I love Terrence Fisher movies. Great director. Seemed like a really cool guy.
Shouldn't drive a car.
Well, I don't think he was driving the car. I think he was stumbling drunkenly across the street and got run over by a car twice.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Susanna Lee told a story and said that he used to play chicken. He would just race out into traffic thinking, and
yeah, after a little
that had something to do with it.
Hey, right. Well, it's not fair. We only know the losses. So
that's true.
Maybe he was really good.
How many times did he do it?
Right. Yeah. What's the ratio here?
I mean, if he did it 2,000 times, hey, that's pretty good. If he did it 10.
So he also would have done Dracula Has Risen from the Grave, but that was the first time he lost against the car. And all the ones that he should have done and didn't do were not Hammer's best. And the ones he did, he managed, even when they were really scraping the budgets and everything. I still love Frankenstein, the Monster from Hell. He was able to get quality no matter what he was given. So yeah, I would really like to see what he would have done. And so Peter Cushing was supposed to play the Ralph Bates role. And there is no way in hell that Peter Cushing is going to be simping for some half-naked girl 1/3 his age. I mean, I just don't see it. He was a great actor, but there's no way anyone would believe that. So I really wonder what the character was before that, because I did read some interview where they said they rewrote Ralph Bates' role once they got him in, which I certainly believe.
Because he would have brought a lot of dignity to that,
yeah,
and respect. And I would hope they would not put him through what they put Ralph.
Right. I think the idea was that he was, an old guy who had a fascination with the occult, and now he's got this person, and it makes sense that he was able to figure that out. So he's letting his interest in the occult overcome his probably sensible reaction not to, tempt the vampire, and it ends up badly.
He could have played it like a Van Helsing type.
Yeah. Now that said, I think I agree with Doc. I think Ralph Bates was great in this role, and once he's gone, the movie never really recovers.
Oh no, but interestingly enough, Bates knew it was a bad movie. He describes it as one of the worst movies ever made.
Wow,
you got to respect Ralph Bates.
Sangster, once they finished filming, he had nothing to do with the post-production. He took off because he had something else to do. He slotted this in as a favor to the producers or Hammer or whatever, and left. And I'm sure Bates is the same way. And when they came back and watched the film, they were like, they couldn't believe it. They said, somebody reported that they both walked out and went to the bar after the song.
Oh my God, I can imagine.
Yeah, you always hear about that when people go see the folks who made the giant claw, and they were told, "Oh yeah, we're gonna have Ray Harryhausen do the effects or something," and then they go to see it, probably bring their friends and their family. They're all dressed up to the nines, and then they watch this and they're just like, "Can we slink out of here without anyone seeing this?"
Susanna Lee too says it was weird. She was in a bad place. She said I think she was living at home, and her mom kicked her out and had done some things that were untoward the way she treated her. But anyway, she begged Jimmy Sangster for a part in this movie, begged him. And finally he said, well, maybe you could do this. I don't really have a part for you, but you could probably do this. Oh, yes, I could do that. Yes. But then when she got there, she's like, there was a point where to start with, she didn't realize what was going on with the nudity. And so she said, we do these run-throughs of the scene, like at the beginning where she's walking through the girls' rooms, telling them it's time to go to bed, and they're all sitting there in different states of undress. They weren't undressed when they did the run-throughs. Then when they went to shoot, she walks into this room and is totally shocked by all the nudity, and stumbled her way through, and then went to Jimmy Sangster and said, I can't do this. This isn't, I don't do movies like this or something, And she claims that he told her that, oh, these are just scenes for the Swedish version.
Oh.
And that he was adamant enough about it that she bought it. And apparently that was something that, they would do. They would cut it one way for part of the world and another way for the another part of the world. But anyway.
Well, that was always the big rumor that Hammer would film it 3 different ways, and that, like the Curse of Frankenstein had a version that went to Japan where the monster had like 3 eyes or something really crazy. It turns out none of that was true. But the Swedish version. I wonder if those Swedish prints still exist.
My goodness.
I'd have to listen to that song again. It's not worth it.
No.
No breasts are worth that.
Ingrid Pitt was offered a role in this. She turned it down because she thought, what, Bill? The script was what?
Not up to par.
Terrible. She just spit out terrible. But what did she film instead, Bill? She still did a Hammer film.
She did Countess Dracula, which is no great shakes, but better written than this.
It's a better film. It's a better film.
By far. And boy, but here's the thing. I love Ingrid Pitt. I wish she made more movies. And I met her in person at a Famous Monsters convention. She could not have been a sweeter human being. She and Peter Cushing were sitting next to each other, and the sheer niceness that was just around them like a cloud. It was amazing. She's too old to play Carmilla. She is.
She would have been. Wouldn't she have been the Countess?
Oh no!
It was Yuda's Stensgaard's part.
Okay. See.
Oh, she was going to be Mircalla?
And I would have been happy with her.
Yeah, she was the one that was brought in. Yuda's the one that was brought in.
She's too old for the part of Carmilla. If you ever read the original novella, I thought she was great in The Vampire Lovers, but she's supposed to be really more the age of Yuta. And I think Yuta captures that innocence and everything, that because that's what Carmilla's supposed to be, more like a schoolgirl crush kind of thing, as opposed to Ingrid Pitt, who seems more like one of the teachers who's a vampire, as opposed to one of the students. That said, I would have loved to have had her in there, but boy, yeah, she was right. The script isn't good, and I don't know. It's just.
All right. Well, let's get into what actually happened. Let's start off with the posters, I suppose. Hey. Outside looking in looks pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I like that it's art. They're still doing some art here.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Do we have
Mike Raven in the middle screaming?
That sounds a little bit like it's a movie. They made a movie. It's art.
Yeah. Well, like toward the end, the posters really got wretched.
Right,
like Captain Kronos. It's just looked like Photoshop before there was Photoshop, which wasn't good.
Called cut and paste.
Now, this next one's interesting. Toward the end, Hammer would do a lot of these pre-production posters, I think, to drum up interest, because now they're kind of having to scramble to get funding. And that's kind of what put them under eventually. They just weren't able to get people to partner with them. So I think this was the pre-production thing, because they would have a bunch of these. This artist would do it, and then they would say, this is a Hammer film at the bottom with no credits, because they weren't sure who was going to be in there. But I happen to really like this because what I really like is the tear going down the eye. And that's where I think they really missed it with this film. It's an interesting premise, a vampire and a human in love. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of ways you can go with it, and this movie just sort of toyed with the idea, and you see little elements, but it never came together. We don't know why they fall in love almost instantly. There's no reason other than physical attractiveness, and that's not very deep. And then at the end, no
chemistry either.
Yeah, at the end, we really should feel the regret that she feels at having to go after him and fighting the control of Count Widow's Peak there, but you didn't get any of that. So there was no tragedy with the ending.
No, there wasn't.
There's two little people in her mouth.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah.
You can't fit big ones in there, so it had to be little.
No.
But they did know to put in big block letters, this is a Hammer
film. Well,
That's
yeah.
Right.
And Bill, you've seen quite a few of those this is a Hammer film posters of films that never actually got made.
Yes, that's at Dragon Con coming up. I have a huge presentation on Sunday. It's not just Hammer films, but horror, science fiction, fantasy films in general that did not get made. And yeah, you could do an hour on Hammer, just the Hammer films that didn't make it. And some of them looked absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, I think the most famous one is the Vampira movie with more,
Vampirella,
publishing. Yeah, Vampirella. Sorry,
Vampirella. The one that I think is the greater loss was I Am Legend, which would have been an early Hammer with Peter Cushing playing the lead role, and basically the censors in England said there is literally nothing you can cut that will allow us to make this movie. They just came down on Hammer like a ton of bricks.
Wow.
And so they sold it to Italy, and that's how The Last Man on Earth got made. They sold the script by Richard Matheson to the Italians, and we got what we got.
Well, now that you brought that up, Doc, if you could pull that poster down, just do a little plug for our buddy Richard Clemenson, Little Shop of Horrors. They have a 2-volume thing, the unfilmed.
Yes.
Last Bust to Bray.
I've got one of those. I got to pick the other one.
I texted Richard Clemenson and asked him if he had any info on budget or box office, and he said no, that's like impossible to come by for this movie. So,
I mean, it must have done well because they made a third one.
The third one may have already been in the works before it tanked. There's a nice poster.
There's a double feature. Look at that. Yeah. Lust for a Vampire and then Night of the Living Dead. I don't see any connection whatsoever.
It was basically to get the taste of Lust for a Vampire out of people's mouths after Night of the Living Dead.
It really,
that's it's a fun double feature though.
Yeah. And for $1.50, that's
I'd still go see it.
Oh, I'd go see that in a heartbeat.
At the Ambassador.
Yeah.
The Ambassador. All right. Should we talk about the director real quick? What do we think of Jimmy Sangster as a director? Because he's done some good stuff. But this was just workmanship, right?
Yeah. This really feels like hacking it out. I mean, and like you say, he didn't have the chance to really put his mark on it. Everything was pretty much done. So you just go in there and make sure everybody hits their marks, and why should you put your heart and soul in something that really, you have so little to do with? And I guess he was not getting along with the producers.
Well, the film looks great. I mean, technically speaking, but
I'll say this about Jimmy Sangster. I don't like him as a director.
He's a good writer, though. He wrote
a great
the original Curse of Frankenstein, X the Unknown, Horror of Dracula, Revenge of Frankenstein, and then goes on and on. The Brides of Dracula. Now there's a good one.
Yeah.
He's a fantastic writer. His other movies for Hammer were Horror of
Frankenstein, notorious. Now that one, Chad, might challenge this one. That's not the one I was talking about, but that might.
Oh, it wasn't? That's the one I thought you were talking about.
No.
But he doesn't have hardly any directing credits.
No.
He just did the Horror of Frankenstein before this, and then boom, this one.
He did a canon TV show.
Yep. He actually wrote more TV series episodes than what we would think.
He did do Fear in the Night, and that's a Peter Cushing, Ralph Bates, Joan Collins.
And I haven't seen it, so it's possible he's batting .330. But I'd have to see that one.
There you go.
But boy, he wrote some great stuff, and he has nothing to be ashamed of just from that. But
he's got a either writer or story by for $6 Million Man, Ironside, Cannon, Kolchak. Circle of Fear, you mentioned 5 episodes of that.
Yep. I don't know he did Gray's End. What is that movie? Oh, he did it. He directed it along with Fred Olin Ray, so that can't be good.
Oof.
Yeah.
I have a feeling it's just because they've used footage that he directed elsewhere.
That could be. I
have a feeling.
That's a possibility.
I can see. We said Fred Olin Ray. We don't have to say too much more, do we?
And listen. Just in case Fred Olin Ray is listening, I got nothing against this guy, and I envy him. He's someone who loves horror movies and has made a bunch of them and worked with a bunch of people who probably needed a paycheck and deserved to have some more shots. So, I give credit for him. I'm just not. I haven't been a huge fan of most of his movies, but. Fred, if you're listening, hey, come on the podcast with us.
All right, let's get into the cast then. Well, I guess we should talk about Tudor Gates. Did Tudor Gates write anything other than these 3 films? Well, he did
Barbarella.
yeah, in collaboration.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And there was another one that was kind of a wow. Oh, Danger Diabolic.
Oh, well, okay. Then
which would explain why he was doing something for Baba. But
yeah. Ooh, I love that one. No lie.
Man with Two Faces. I thought I saw another one.
There's a movie called Fright. Which is,
and you can't forget Confessions.
Susan George.
Oh, Confessions of the Naughty Nymphos was his last credit, which certainly sounds intriguing.
Are you looking at
Tudor Gates?
Yeah.
It says, welcome to
also
the
called Sex with the Stars.
Oh,
it looks like toward the end he was doing more sex comedies or stuff. You know, he starts out doing horror and then ends up doing, you know, so he wrote exploitation films, but they were good exploitation films. And I mean, there's a few there.
Edward Hyde. He did Love Boxes, Teddy White. I don't know why that's funny, but it's funny.
That is funny.
Well, there's a box and there's love in it. Is that what you said?
No, that's the name.
Yeah.
That's the name. All right. Can we just jump to Ralph Bates first? Let's just jump to Ralph Bates.
Yeah.
Him out of the way. Ralph Bates. Do we have a Ralph Bates picture? We do. Blank.
Oh, we do. Yeah.
So there's Ralph Bates.
Oh my God. Whenever I see someone who parts their hair in the middle, I'm reminded of the fact that I spent at least a year in high school with my hair parted in the middle. And when I see those pictures now, I well and truly want to run out into traffic. That is not, gentlemen, that is not a good look.
Yep.
Just don't.
Yep. Yeah.
You want to look like this?
When you're young, maybe. But yeah.
No, there's no excuse.
So this isn't necessarily his best.
There's no excuse, not even when you're young.
Not necessarily his best film. Okay, so he was being groomed, was he not, to be part of Hammer's future?
Yeah, they thought he was the next big thing. If Christopher Lee kept giving him lip about not wanting to do Dracula, it's like, we're going to slip Ralph Bates right in there. How do you like them apples?
Because he was Victor Frankenstein in the horror of Frankenstein.
Yep.
We did Dr. Jekyll and Sister Hyde, which he was actually really good in.
He was very good in it. And he was in Taste the Blood of Dracula, which was supposed to be a much bigger role. And then Christopher Lee said, "What? You're going to replace me with Ralph Bates? I'll not hear of it." And he came back and Ralph kind of got offed early on. He's a good actor. He's just not Peter Cushing or Christopher Lee. He doesn't have that gravitas. He's a good character actor. And I think he knocked this role out of the park. He was, your reaction to him is exactly what it's supposed to be. He's weak and contemptible, and the Mircalla doesn't give him the time of day. She could not. He is just simpering away. I love the scene where he takes the cross out and then
turns it upside down. Yes,
I'm like, now that is a cool little bit of mythology, because the vampires in this movie are sort of strange. They're out in the daylight without any suntan or anything. They don't even have an umbrella. They couldn't care less.
Yeah.
Fire doesn't. Only fire can kill them, or fire doesn't kill them, or we don't know.
No, they said to stake to the heart and chopping off the head's the only way.
Right, you're making it up as we go along. And I still don't understand the whole thing. So it was 40 years since Carmilla was killed, and they decided to resurrect her now. Why? What have they been doing in the meantime?
Why couldn't they resurrect her?
Wasn't the second time? It was the second time, right? That they were resurrecting her? Didn't they do it every so many years?
Yeah, all the time. They did it again in the last in Twins of Evil, right? Or no, she just shows up. I don't know. These movies are not really well connected together. And here's the other thing.
No, you're right.
If she is supposed to be the resurrection of Ingrid Pitt, why is she such a little ditz? I mean, whatever you can say about Carmilla and Vampire Lovers, she's large and in charge. She knows what she wants and she goes for it. And here, I kind of like the little bit of innocence and everything else here, but Ingrid Pitt wasn't going to fall for Mr. Strange Dick or whatever his name is.
Dick was Strange.
Dickie was Strange.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. This doesn't seem to me like the character from the first movie at all.
Yeah. So there you go.
No, she doesn't have any. She has no manipulation or Machiavellian things about her.
Nice. Yes.
She's very pretty.
Yeah, I mean, she's not hard on the eyes.
No,
and that helps. But
and you're right, Doc. She's kind of blank, but that does sort of work. I mean, I think her non-acting acting actually kind of works for this role, as opposed to if she was trying to act like those poor twins in Twins of Evil. Love them, but just no, didn't believe anything that came out of their mouth. So the less said, the better. So she's fine, and she's very pretty. Boy, what Terrence Fisher would have done with her, the setups, and that we would have gotten some great shots. Although as it is, Jeff, we were talking about looking for shots for this movie, and if you look for it, it's pretty much nothing but pictures of her.
Yeah,
as it should be.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. She did the movie Scream and Scream Again. She was the role of Erica in that. I'm not sure how big that role is. And she was also in a version of Burke and Hare in 72, but she stopped acting in 72.
Yeah, she pretty much disappeared. What did I read? That she came over to the U.S., did some sort of Christian something or another in Oregon. She had a job selling airtime for a Christian radio station in Oregon.
Oh,
okay.
And in the 90s, she had come out a little bit and had gone to a few conventions, but not very many.
And this is probably her best known role, right?
Yeah.
Even though she debuted in a Italian movie called The Girl with a Pistol, which sounds great.
And she was married to Tony Curtis, but not that Tony Curtis.
Not that Tony, a different Tony Curtis.
Yes.
Oh my God, that's kind of funny.
Production manager or production designer, art department. Okay.
Yep. And then yep. All right. Well, let's talk about our lead, Mr. Michael Johnson. Is that right?
Yeah. Why doesn't he die?
I feel like. Yeah, I was thinking.
He's so
like
unmemorable.
Yeah.
Like after watching this movie, I couldn't pick him out of a police lineup. I think a lot of it is the writing and everything. There's no reason for the characters to fall in love. There's no reason why everyone, the one intelligent character in the movie, I can't remember the actress's name, the one who plays the other teacher.
Suzanne
I don't. Yeah, there's no reason for her to fall in love with him. She's the one who keeps pointing out what an idiot he's being. Falling under Mircalla's spell. So why is she in love with him too? Except once again, what are her options? Greasy Ralph Bates, and she dodged a real bullet. The other teacher was going to be this guy on the bottom in one of the funnier scenes. Yeah, that wasn't going to amount to much of anything.
Mr. Biggs.
Maybe it's because he's the lead singer of the Who that everybody.
No, stop. I will say that the scene where he figures out the guy's going to be the teacher and he tricks him is actually
that was the one.
That was pretty funny. It almost made the character work. But
that character is so over the top. It's I was reading some reviews of this and they're delicately saying he's a bit of a fop. Yeah, okay, sure, let's go with that.
But he did work pretty steadily through the 70s and into the 80s.
He did.
As a matter of fact, well, I know he's still alive, but he did a film in 2000 was his last role.
Right, died in 2000. You're talking about Michael Johnson.
Yeah, 2001 at 60.
Well, and speaking of which, Ralph Bates died pretty young too from pancreatic cancer.
What a shame.
But as much crap as I've been giving him, I mean, yeah, it's. I don't know if it's entirely his fault, but a little chemistry with the other actresses would have gone a long way.
Yeah, it might have been nice.
Yeah, I'll cop to that.
Our other lead actors or supporting actors, of course, is Chad, you're gonna say?
Oh, I'm sorry. It seems obvious that he needed some sort of direction to sort of build some kind of relationship with this character, but it's like he's just wandering around, and and it just happened. It doesn't feel organic or natural or anything. It just
It's
And
like,
They
so the
wrote it,
sto-
so that's
because
So
the
the
script
story
says,
doesn't work. I mean, he's attracted to her because she's pretty, and she's attracted to him because some blood. And then there should have been something where these two characters see something more in each other and go against their own nature. That he's a womanizer, but he actually falls in love with this woman, and she's a vampire, but here's a human that she doesn't want to kill. That's a great story.
yep.
yeah.
It's just that it's not in this movie. The setup
One
is
scene,
there.
one scene. They kind of explore it, and that they
Anything.
Yeah,
They
doesn't really
meet
work.
cute. They have dinner together. He rolls a meatball over to her side with his nose. Anything. Just come on.
anything. That's
Well,
hilarious.
he's introduced as kind of a nothing guy. You know,
Hmm.
I'm this well-known writer, but I'm just kind of a lay around guy.
That's,
I don't
that's the
really-
beginning of an arc, right?
Yeah.
You know,
But it never gets past
Yeah.
that.
Mm,
Oh man! All right, Susanna Lee.
I loved her.
She's
yeah.
quite
She's
attractive and
good
quite
in this.
and really good actress.
Mhm.
hmm
And of course, Bill, you've kind of illustrated why she's in the supporting role as opposed to a lead role. But
Well, why?
well, she doesn't do any nude
Because
scenes.
because she said, "I
Oh.
want to be in the picture." Well, okay, you can be in this role.
Oh, right.
Yeah, but, and she didn't want to
Um,
do nude scenes. Yeah, that's probably
Right. Well, we did an episode on the classic era, right, Chad? She
Yeah,
was
we
in
did, but I don't know which one you're talking about.
Dead-
Hunter,
the Dead- the
100
Deadly
some
Bees.
odd Deadly Bees.
The Deadly Bees.
Ah.
The
Okay.
Amicus movie. She
Yeah.
was the woman, female lead in that, and actually a pretty good lead. And then Lost Continent.
Yeah, which we need to do. That's our Hammer film.
which
as
I've
well.
never seen. Actually, that's one of the few
Oh,
Hammer
really?
movies I've never seen. Yeah.
It's crazy, and it's not. I tried looking it up for classic era, and it's not streaming. You know,
No,
there's-
it's
there's,
never streaming.
There
The
was
reason I haven't
I
seen
don't know
it
if
is
it's
that
still
I never had the
available. There's a
I wonder.
Scream Factory Blu-ray that Dick Clemenson does a commentary on.
No, nice.
Mm.
Yeah, I haven't seen it in decades. I saw it.
And then I always bring this up, and
Saturday
nobody knows what I'm
television.
talking about, which is because I'm older than all you guys. But Boeing was a
Yeah.
movie with Tony Curtis and Jerry Lewis that was in the Saturday night movie rotation when I was, like 10 or 12 or something like that. Let me see when it came out. Yeah, probably 13. So I just knew about it. It's your basic rom-com, I guess. Tony Curtis is not an admirable character. But anyway, she's in that.
I remember seeing that as a kid, and I didn't like it because Jerry Lewis was he was playing it a lot more straight than I was used to seeing. It was, I guess, the beginning of, I don't want to be a comedian anymore. I want to be a.
Yeah, well, if I remember right, Tony Curtis is a airline pilot, and he's got 3 fiancées in different parts of the country. And at some point, they all get together in the same place. And all along, Jerry Lewis is trying to, chaos ensues, right?
Yeah.
I love only one girl, one in every town I go to.
Yeah.
Ah,
Lost Continent is a hoot.
Oh yeah, those crabs.
It's goofy stuff.
balloons.
And she was in
Balloons.
Son of Dracula, the
Oh, the
weird
Ringo
movie
Starr
with
one,
Harry Nilsson, Ringo
Mhm.
Starr, Freddie Jones, and directed by Freddie Francis.
which we have
Which
to
is
cover.
Deadly Bees was directed by Freddie Francis too. That was an Amicus. I think I said that already. But... So yeah, we should do Son of Dracula sometime. Just so Chad can hear more music.
Yes. Oh my God. With Ringo Starr, it's definitely got.
It has to be better than this. And Harry Nilsson. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. All right. We got to talk about.
It's my Ringo Starr impersonation.
There you go. Mike Raven.
Mike
your
Raven.
ignorance is-
What? Mike Raven has a great name for
Brilliant.
horror and a great face for horror, but apparently he's got a voice that requires that he be dubbed by the guy from Horror Hotel, which is a good choice.
Valentine Dial.
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 Yeah.
Dial.
Valentine Dial.
Who in that bottom picture is in The City of the Dead,
And he's got that great
Oh, is that
booming
the voice?
that
Okay.
voice.
which
Yeah.
we actually did
What's a
do,
Hotel Talk?
a couple episodes ago, right?
Yeah, I love that movie.
That might be why it's so stilted, because it's ADR, right? So
Well, it's kind of echoey. I think There was a thing about how some friend of his at the radio station told him he was a big horror movie fan and that he should be in horror movies. I guess because of the way he looked. But
yeah,
I wonder if he's the first guy to have that sharp widow's peak for Dracula or for a vampire.
It's really exaggerated.
Yeah.
I'm surprised they said, "What doctor is this?" Why, it's Dr. Acula.
Alucard.
Oh, speaking of which,
I've heard of him. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you recognize the one guy, one of the villagers? Was Christopher Neames, who plays Johnny Alucard in Dracula AD.
Oh.
19.
Oh, yes, I did see that. Yeah. I forgot about that. He's the one that
guy dies in the shower.
Yep.
Yeah. Dignified.
Johnny Alucard.
Because the water's running.
Running water.
Oh my god. Oh.
Yeah.
But this Dracula reminds me more of the Dracula we get in Seven. Was it Count Dracula? No. It's the Seven Golden Vampires.
Yeah.
Vampires.
Right.
Almost
That guy
like the same one. Yeah.
His voice was also dubbed, apparently.
Yep. I wonder if it's by the same person.
They kept trying to find people who look like Christopher Lee, but took a smaller check than Christopher Lee.
Yeah, and apparently they didn't like his eyes because
Christopher Lee.
Yeah, he was apparently none too happy that they spliced those eyes in. And
really?
Also,
but at least he got paid, unlike Christopher Lee.
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. maybe he might have done it gratis.
Well, that scene at the end too, when as the building is on fire, that's from is that from the Taste of Blood of Dracula or Scars of Dracula or something? They took that from another.
Yeah, they did take it from
the Scars. Yeah, final shot of the film is the castle burn taken from Scars of Dracula in 1979. Which we still need to do. We need to do that.
We need to do that, and actually, I really want to do that because I remember not liking it, and yet I've seen a number of reviews where they're saying, it's maybe not as bad as we all thought it was. So I'm willing to give it another shot.
It also is one of the more violent ones.
Yeah, and I think I may have been watching it on TV, so I probably watched it pretty diced up like this one.
Yeah. All right, so we have Barbara Jeffrin, who plays Countess Hirizin. What else? Hirizin. Yeah. And she's actually, for as little as she's on the screen, she was actually pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
She is pretty good, but some of those costumes really look like Spirit Halloween store day after Halloween, half price off sale.
Oh, when she at the beginning, she's always got the hoodie over her head and stuff.
They're just a little too garish, and but she's classy. And the scenes with her and the headmistress are funny because the headmistress is such a dim bulb, and this woman is just leading her around.
Yeah,
she had was much more active on stage. And was really well known and received an Order of the British Empire. At the age of 35, supposedly she was the youngest recipient.
Oh, nice.
For her work in the theater. And she voiced some James Bond femme fatales.
When they couldn't do it, she was the voice.
Yeah, that they had too strong an Italian accent. I think Russia with Love was one.
That's cool.
What was the other one? I think there was two of them.
But again, what was their plan to put, to resurrect Carmilla, toss her into a place full of schoolgirls, which I'm sure she appreciated, but that's obviously going to call attention of the authorities. You can only have so many students die in one semester, the ideal number being none. And so anything more than none is going to call attention. And
was it just location because it was down the hill from the castle?
Yes, location.
Yeah, that might have been convenience.
They had to know this was going to call. Cops were going to show up and angry dads were going to show up, and then just at the last minute, what we really need? A priest shows up. A priest walks into the bar, and then what is this? Some kind of joke?
Literally does.
He had a heart attack. He had a heart attack.
That's not going to.
And he tries to get everybody to stop, but in the end, just cheers them on.
Yeah. You can't destroy him by fire. Go ahead.
You're doing it now.
Yeah, that's what those crowds like to do.
So
he's trying to argue with the guy. He's like, you can't destroy them with fire. And the guy's response is, someone give me a torch. I'm like,
no, I don't.
whatever.
I misheard you. I'm going to run in. Let's talk about the well and the people falling down it, because those
That
scenes
was crazy, wasn't it?
killed me. They were so bad. Oh my God. Why you be crazy? It was just like these dressed up dummies falling at the camera. It was hilarious.
Well, then they'd be.
Yes, they'd be little scenes with them falling.
Oh, not as bad as the wax dummy of Carmilla at the end.
Yeah.
Yes,
whatever
the
that was.
Oh my God.
Well, she's hundreds of years old. Maybe that's how 100-year-old body.
Well, and plus the contradiction of you can't kill them by fire, yet Carmilla dies by fire.
She doesn't. She dies by the
stake in the heart.
Stake.
Oh, the stake.
The beam goes right through her heart. Yeah, through her entire chest.
A really big stake. Yeah.
Yes.
But then again, it's like, what difference does it make? Because in the last movie, Peter Cushing, I watched it. Peter Cushing shoves a stake through her heart and chops off her lovely head, drops it on the ground. If you see the unedited version, Carmilla was killed exactly the way you're going to kill a vampire, and 40 years later, they brought her right back.
Yep. Boink.
So, and there she is.
Yep.
And just poured some blood on her.
Yeah. Now
that was the picture. That was the picture I saw so many times.
Yes. Oh my God. In the books. Yeah. And it was matter of fact, when I went to go get the book out of the library, and this picture was no longer in the book.
Wow.
Oh.
I wonder why. Some kid probably came along with scissors.
Well, that might be what it is. I was thinking it was censored, but
maybe.
It's more likely a kid came along and said,
"Oh, that would be hilarious."
Taking this
some
home.
kid in the 70s got stuck to his wall.
The governor of Iowa got a hold of it.
Yeah, but that's only a publicity still. That's not in the film. We don't get to see that exact shot.
Yeah,
which is unfortunate because it's really.
That's a good shot.
It's effective. Yeah, it's.
It's just the whole. It's just
which is
composed well. The blood it's enticing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So my son says this a lot, but basically, blood, okay. Nudity, okay. Bloody nudity, no, can't do that. We can't.
Oh, you can see violence all day long of the most extreme violence you can, but to show something sexy or something, no, don't do that now.
See, I love that. I think there's few things. Right? I think there's few things cooler looking than a really beautiful woman with like blood on just half her face. Just, yeah. Mm-hmm. When they would show up for zombie shots, and so when we are doing zombie movies, and you have someone who's really good looking come up, it's like I'm not doing any prosthetics on this one. Just give me some blood. Blip, blip, blip. All right, off you go. And that just it looks so great. The contrast, little kids covered in blood too, because the contrast of the innocence of a child and the gore. It's a great look.
All right. So obviously, by the way, we're talking. The people in the film are more interesting than the film itself. Although some things to enjoy about the film. Maybe.
Not a lot happens.
Well, we do have to throw something out here so that we don't get chastised.
The film? We're going to throw out the film?
No, we're not. So there's a lot of Hammer women in here. One in particular, Judy Matheson, or Matheson. I'm not exactly sure how it's. She's in the Twins of Evil. In fact, she's the one who's burned, tied up at the beginning, which we forgot to mention in the last one, and she reached out to us. So, yeah, and she's, I would say, out of all the rest of the people there, she was the top. I'm not just saying that. She's Judy, but she was the best looking one. I think she was one of those three at the beginning that Ralph Bates introduces to.
Okay. Yeah. So she's part of that scene. She's part of the scene when they walk up and for the first time, and all the girls are like posing on the wall. it's like a shot out of a James Bond movie. All the girls are like, da-da, da-da.
Oh, yeah, she's in there too. Yeah, she's in there. She's also in when they're doing the dancing and twirling and stuff. She's in that scene as well.
And who's the girl that she kills and throws down the well?
Is that? I think that's Pippa Steele.
Okay.
And she was in the last one, Vampire Lovers. She's in that one as well.
Okay.
And then Carol Little. I don't know if she was in any other ones, and I'm sure there's more that Kirsten Lindholm. is the peasant girl. I'm guessing she's the blonde in the bar.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah. The other one that's at the table when the three guys are hitting on her. The big guy comes out and says, "Don't do that."
And she was in Vampire Lovers as well.
And then, of course, we talked about the coachman, and it's Christopher Cunningham.
Yep.
Who knows how to sport the fangs. He does a lot. He does a lot for these guys for no good reason.
Oh yeah, when the villagers show again, what's their plan? The villagers show up, and their plan is we're going to have our horsemen jump at them and immediately be taken down and staked, and then we're going to go into our castle and shut the door. Okay, that's a plan, I guess.
And stand there.
We're just going to wait here because they can't burn us. You know, the building will fall down around you, and it is made of wood. I mean, her death can't really be considered unexpected.
No, especially in air. All right, we're running late on time, so please check out this film and let us know what you think of it down below. We'd love to hear your thoughts. This movie. We will be doing Vampire Lovers in the near future. I imagine sometime in the next however many months. And Chad, we will get you on one of 2 Hammer films that will be less than this. All right.
Why
Jeff,
am I the target of this
because
negativity?
you mentioned it. Jeff, do we have some feedback?
Yeah, we have a couple pieces of feedback. I also wanted to mention that Bernard Robinson, who was the production designer extraordinaire for Hammer, died right before this film was made. He was offered
this movie was snake bit.
It was, wasn't it?
So feedback. I'll just go ahead and take them this time. These are both on Shriek of the Mutilated, episode 194. This one's from, when I first read this, I thought it said Tim Madone. Then I realized it was Tim Madone. I think. Anyways, Tim says, all TV prints had the popcorn song, as did the Lightning video VHS, sourced from a badly edited print that doesn't even show Keith drooling at the end. The picture quality on the Vinegar Syndrome Blu-ray is awesome. I would agree with that. Now, if only they or someone can locate the original camera negative for Track of the Moon Beast and give it the restored treatment it deserves, all VHS DVD versions seem to be taken from what appears to be the same dark and edited print, with most of Rick Baker's gore makeup missing. And he finishes up with nice review or discussion.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
You guys know about this other movie, Track of the Moon Beast?
I've tried to watch it, and the version I always saw on TV was completely incomprehensible. It's so dark and muddy. I just assumed that's how the film was.
Can't even see it.
Yeah.
The shadows are. There's no contrast.
Well, maybe it would be a revelation if it turns out that's just a bad print and there's actually a decent copy somewhere. I'd love to see it.
All right. Thank you so much, Tim Madone 8930. And then from Jerry Chandler.
Hey, Jerry.
And again, he's talking about Shriek of the Mutilated. I really like this movie. However, I think the reason I like it is probably a little dumb.
Oh, no.
I first saw this on cable. I remember thinking, damn, these guys didn't even try with that damn monster suit. Whenever you catch a glimpse of it, it looks like a guy wearing an absolute piece of garbage while white monster ape suit. Then the big reveal happens, and my young teenage mind thought, oh, they were telegraphing the reveal. That was so clever.
Yes.
I'm older now. It probably wasn't that clever and more just low budget and almost zero monster suit talent. But the fact that they figured out how to take a crap suit and make it make sense in the film and swerve you as to what the nature of the true horror was kind of lodged it into the nostalgic, gee whiz, cool part of my memories of seeing some of this direct when young.
Yeti pants.
Yep, Yeti pants.
Yeah, that's a good point, Jerry. That's a good point. We have a crappy suit, and we're going to show you the reason for it because it's not real. We just want to eat you.
Even a clock's right twice a day.
All right. That's it for the feedback. Please send feedback to feedback@gruesomemagazine.com, or even better yet, go and make comments on the Gruesome Magazine YouTube channel.
Yes.
We love comments. And next episode is Doc's pick.
Oh,
What are
it's
we
my
watching,
pick.
Doc?
Well, speaking of the film that you were talking about with, oh my gosh, what was it called again?
Track of the Moonbeast?
No, Shriek of the Mutilated.
Shriek of the Mutilated.
One that was a film that was in our list back in the day, that the episodes that gave birth to this particular podcast. There was another film, Jeff. It was called Kingdom of the Spiders from 1977. We said we were going to do it. We promised we were going to do it. And by golly, we're doing it. We're going to do it. Shatner, spiders, car tires, and popping sounds. We're doing it all.
Woody Strode, too. Oh,
yeah.
It's if you
Jeff gets excited about all the ancillary stuff.
Yes. This film will trigger arachnophobia.
Oh yeah.
Regardless of how good or bad the film may be. This film has. There's going to be a lot of positive mixed in with some negative, but there is some really good merit to this film.
Oh, yeah.
I encourage people to watch this film.
I can't remember. Was this your pick or Santos?
Might have been mine. I can't.
Okay.
recall.
And then the only other one we have left is Vampire Lovers.
We got to do that soon too.
Those 20 films.
Yep.
And then we'll be done with the 70s.
Nope. Thousands more to go.
Dream on.
All right. Well, that is our show for tonight. Thank you for joining in on this. Chad, Jeff, Bill, thank you for hanging out with me. This, as always, is so much fun. And Bill, I know we gave you a hard time for this pick, but I still had a great time with it.
Yeah. That's always it's Hammer. Yeah, we had to do it sooner or later. And let's see if you can get that. Now, let's see if that song haunts your nightmares.
Stop. Every time you mention it, it's 12 more nights of nightmares.
Yeah.
Well, that song isn't good enough to be an earworm. It just...
No, it's not.
No, it's...
Plus the fact that I fast forward through it every time it starts, so I don't really know the song as well.
No.
And they released that as a single, so there were radio.
Did they really?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, they released it as a single?
Well, they said that stretching on even longer. The producer said they wanted to have a song like they had in Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid. If they could get a hit that played while Paul Newman rode a bicycle backwards, we could get a hit with a movie with beautiful vampires.
But you got to have a melody that people like. They should have just ripped it off, Vampires are biting on my neck or something. Just something. What they got was...
Poseidon Adventure did it better. Let's just put it that way.
Can I just say one thing before we go? The thing that kills me about that song is when they do interviews with the people who did this, none of them want to take credit for being the one who thought it was a good idea to put it in there. They all keep throwing someone else under the bus.
There are a lot of people under that bus.
I don't know why that's the case.
All right. Well, it's time for us to get out of here. Chad, Jeff, Bill, let's say goodnight.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Gruesome Magazine.